1, 2, 3.
Red Rock Falcons!
On a special preview episode of the DMV Lacrosse Roundup, we'll talk with coaches, players, and lacrosse experts to see who might still be standing at the end of the season.
They were the ones I would have my eye on.
Get ready for all the action and excitement that is DMV Lacrosse.
It's going to be a battle.
We'll also take a look at what's to come on the show's first season.
Welcome to the show!
They've been lifting weights, working on their stick skills, and doing whatever these guys are doing. And now it's finally time to put all that hard work to the test. As we head into the 2012 high school lacrosse season, there's no doubt that the DC region has seen a lot of growth in the sport.
Lacrosse in the DC market has been explosive since the mid-90s. In numbers of players, numbers of teams, quality of play for boys and girls.
I think the quality of coaching has gotten a lot better in the high schools. You know, if you get a natural athlete who wants to learn lacrosse and has the right teacher, I mean, they could be phenomenal. The sky's the limit for players like that, and that's what I think you're seeing at places like Wootton and places like Langley and Oakton that maybe you didn't see before, where they had coaches who maybe were enthusiastic but didn't know the game as well. So I go back to the coaches a lot. Why, you know, even Casey O'Neill at Gonzaga, who's so enthusiastic and very smart and works incredibly hard and has a lot of assistants who know the game as well. They were always sort of a sleeping giant, and I feel like Casey's really awakened them.
In the WCAC, Gonzaga is looking for a three-peat, but they have their work cut out for them in a strong and competitive field.
For the first time in conference history, it's as deep and arguably deeper than the IAC, with teams like Gonzaga, who's the front runner and the defending champions, St. Mary's Riken, Paul VI, Good Counsel, and DeMatha. That's 5 teams as good as the top 5 in the IC for the first time in a long time.
In the WCAC, I really like Gonzaga. They're the 2-time defending champions. They have a lot of good players back. Connor Reed is a senior midfielder committed to Johns Hopkins. They have another midfielder committed to Army. They have 2 very good junior defensemen, one of whom is going to Fairfield and one of whom is going to Bucknell. So when you have a team that's won the title 2 years in a row with that many good players coming back, it's hard to sort of look past them as the lead dog.
Riken is loaded. Very scary team to play. Paul VI has one of the best junior classes around.
After Paul VI, maybe a Good Counsel. You know, Luke Poulis, their senior midfielder, also takes face-offs, is headed to Army, where his brother went.
And then DeMatha's always deep and strong and athletic.
You always got to respect the way that St. Mary's Riken rebuilds and reloads. DeMatha is always a strong bunch of scrappy kids. You know, who are hard-nosed, and they fight to every whistle. So we're not trying to anticipate too much as far as, you know, who's doing what. You know, it's just sort of one game at a time. But the Catholic League stands to be pretty strong this year. You know, new coach over at O'Connell, second year, so he'll probably make improvements over there as well. So it should be a pretty level, pretty competitive conference this year, I think.
For the past 3 years, the Langley Saxons have claimed the Virginia State Championship, and the smart money seems to be on more of the same.
I mean, Langley's entire starting attack is back. Mikey Adams had 67 goals last year. He's back as a senior. Sean Ahern had 38 goals last year. He's back as a senior. And their third starter is going to Roanoke next year, Sibio. So, and then you have a defenseman. One of their defensemen is going to Delaware. They have a junior who I think committed to Bucknell. They have Spivey is a great goalie. They're well coached. So, you know, Langley is the team I have a beat on too, because I think everyone does. You've won 3 straight state titles and have all that coming back.
Northern Virginia public school scene this year, Langley's looking to have the 4-peat, which means for those seniors it would be very special to have 4 championships in 4 years. Sean Ahern and Chandler Suk and Andrew Spivey, the seniors on that team, the leaders trying to pull that off. It's not going to be easy for them, but Chantilly and Robinson and Oakton are going to be trying to take that title for the first time in a while.
Across the river, in the 301, Wootton is playing the role of top dog, with plenty of young talented squads trying to snatch up that top spot.
In Montgomery County, it's Wootton. Wootton's been the best team for the last 3 or 4 years. They're the team to beat, and with Kurt Brooks on defense, they're probably going to be the favorite going into the season.
Well, our division always seems to be pretty tough. I would say in our division, you have Churchill, Whitman, Walter Johnson. Just our division's pretty tough. And then Quincy Orchard had a good season last year, really good season. They're going to be, they're going to be strong this year again. Sherwood. But there's, every year's a new year, so you never know who's going to rise to the top.
Walter Johnson with Jake Verner and Churchill are going to be right on the heels. Sherwood's always strong. QO was outstanding last year, but they graduated quite a bit. And I also think that, Whitman can always surprise people.
It's amazing that they have players at the top end like Brooks from Wooten going to Georgetown, and there's another long Signity going to Brown from out of there. They've always had good players in Montgomery County, but they had trouble getting noticed. And I think that what happened, what people in Montgomery County have been waiting for years and years, was to get a JV program, to get JV lacrosse funded, and that finally happened a few years ago. And now you're starting to see the benefits of that. A team like Lehigh on the Division I level that's off to a great start has 2 Winston Churchill kids on the team, a backup goalie and a backup attackman, and Wooten has kids go D1 and made the state semifinals and state final actually a couple times. So you're starting to see finally when these young players who aren't as familiar with the sport are getting playing time on the JV level, get up to varsity, and all of a sudden it's really starting to click for them.
The MAC and the Mill are 2 small conferences in the area that are developing some big-time players.
In the MAC, you have Potomac School. Their top players are Chris Graves, Jack O'Brien. They should be considered the favorite for this year as well. Flint Hill will be right on their tails. That's a huge rivalry. Sidwell's very strong and well coached. And you never know with St. James. The boarding school in that conference brings in new players every year. It could be strong. The Mill is Calverton, by far and away the favorite. They have, I believe, 4 Division I commits in a tiny little school, which is very impressive. And then I'd say Middleburg Academy and the Heights are right on their tail. The Heights is a solid team, and Middleburg Academy's got a great program out there.
Last, but certainly not least, the Interstate Athletic Conference is not just home to local powerhouses like Landon and Georgetown Prep. It's traditionally one of the best conferences in the entire country.
My friend Ty Sanders at Inside Lacrosse talked to Rob Bordley a couple days ago, and Bordley is comparing this Landon team to the 2002 team that had, just any number of great Division I players, including Matt Ward, who won the Tewaaraton Trophy at Virginia. He certainly seems to think that this is going to be a very strong Landon team, and for him to say that, you would certainly want to take note, because he's usually right about things like that. I think the Prep has very good sophomores, and in a couple of years, I think they would just be an absolute giant. But this year, I think they and Landon will be very tough.
St. Stephen's is right there on their tail and could steal that championship, especially considering everything comes down to the tournament this year in 2012. And Bullis has got a very strong team.
You never would overlook Episcopal with Coach Conklin and the stuff he can do. And of course, St. Albans is a little bit of a question mark.
St. Albans and Episcopal, although they're maybe the bottom of that conference, are some of the top 20 teams in this area.
It's a very good league, and it's a lot of fun to watch those games because you're seeing very fundamentally sound players, and every game matters. And it's a smaller league, so it's more contained than the MIAA. There's no real bottom feeders in the IAC. You could have a team go 1-4 in the IAC and be a top 10 team in this area.
So there you have it, a look at what could happen this season in the DMV lacrosse scene. But if you really want to know what happens, don't forget that the DMV Lacrosse Roundup will post a new episode every Tuesday morning all season. The show will air on automaticsports.com and include features like Game of the Week, Player in Focus, Sideline Pass, the College 30, and more. Like us on Facebook, where you can make suggestions, and follow us on Twitter for up-to-the-minute news and results. We're also asking players and fans to submit their own videos in a segment called Feed Your TV. We'll air any lacrosse-related video, and you'll win a t-shirt if yours is chosen. Just remember to keep it family-friendly. Send your submissions to Luke at automaticsports.com. Get ready for 12 weeks of DC area lacrosse action. Always online and always the first to know. Welcome to the show. Next week on the premiere episode, we'll travel to Fairfax for a big cross-conference contest between Paul VI and Georgetown Prep. And we'll get inside the game with Gonzaga coach Casey O'Neill. We'll get stats and highlights from games all over the region. And we'll meet our first player in focus, Good Counsel Senior, Luke Poulos. If you or your team needs game, film, or highlight services, or would like to be part of the show, please contact us using the information found at automaticsports.com.